All right, Aaron Duncan here with Duncan Brothers Customs. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we have the legends themselves brought to you by Mustangs on a Mission today. We have Gary and Vince from Shelby American. Guys, thank you so much for coming on and doing this for us.
No problem, Aaron.
Sounds good.
Now, I gave you guys a small little introduction there, but for the people watching that don't know, could you guys tell people who you are and your roles at Shelby?
Okay. I'm Gary Patterson, president of Shelby. So I've been here for a little over 25 years, and, it's great to be very big honor to be a part of the team. Vince?
I'm Vince LaViolette. I'm actually Vice President of Operations, Senior Designer. I dabble in the R&D and also test driving. So we kind of pretty much cover everything. I've been here for 20 years. So between me and Gary, I think we've pretty much been around the block a couple of times.
Yeah, and a few laps around the track too, because I do a lot of the test driving as well. So,
yeah.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've seen you at a lot of shows, Gary, and you're obviously a hell of a driver. I think we all know that. So, my first question would probably be for Vince. And, I know in kind of what I do, I will always have a vision of something and then work backwards. Where do the ideas that you have come from? Like, do you see something and then you chase it to get to that point? Or does it start off and you just kind of keep cutting away and eventually you end up with a new GT500 KR?
Actually, it's one of those things, it takes a team. There's everybody working on it, So the way I kind of do it is every year you're trying to make the car better every year. Mm-hmm. I come from a background of racing, and custom cars and hot rods and all that kind of stuff. And so I know what really works, basically, as far as what needs to be put into the car. Now, when I started with Shelby, anything that, we try to design, we try to put some of the old and some of the new into it. So we realize that when we're designing something that we have to grab a younger generation, you know what I mean? That's our future, and that's the future of our company. But yet when we're doing a car, we have to look at it to where, I got to have something in there that basically ties into the old car. So every year when we're redesigning, I'll look at it and think, what? I wish I would have done this, you know what I mean? But you know what? I'm going to save that for next year because that's going to be the wow factor and the pop that's going to put us on the map next year. So these are the kind of things we think of. Another thing is, since we do so much testing, we're out all the time doing testing. Every time we go to an event, we have our own test track here, that we use. When we go out there, we're checking things out, like how much heat are we getting? You know what I mean? Do we have enough downforce? All these kind of things. So every year when we're finding the design of the car, we're thinking about all these things. You know what I mean, Ben? I wish we would have did better brakes on this car, or we need a better oil cooler on this car. So when we're testing for the next year, we know that the intakes on the front of the car are going to have to be a lot bigger. You know what I mean? We're going to have to do more airflow. We're going to have to make the hood more aerodynamic, and we're going to have to flow the air through the hood. So these are the kind of things that, I'm thinking through the year, you know what I mean? And then when we're ready to do the next one, everything's already there. It just go in, knock it out, go to the clay studio and do it in foam or do it in clay, knock it out, get it done, do a prototype on the car. And then me and Gary go to the track and see how it works.
Yeah, and that's really encouraging. I just love what you say. You kind of try to, break new ground, but also satisfy and honor what was already there. And that's really important in, today's industry, to be able to kind of grab the new crowd, but also please the people that have been loyal since the beginning. So absolutely fantastic. Gary, I've talked to you a lot of times at shows. We've had good times together. We've had ice cream together and things like that. If I could ask you, because I was trying to think of the most untypical questions I could probably ask in an interview. The Shelby legacy, the Shelby legacy spans obviously for multi-generations. You guys have done it all. You've won Le Mans. You continue to break new ground. One word to describe Shelby's legacy and why.
One word. Holy cow. Performance.
Yeah.
And I think why is when we listened to Carroll and what he did to promote the company, he always said, I'm Carroll Shelby and performance is my business. And when we look at that, we worked, both Vince and I worked with Carroll for a long time. And performance was our business then, and it continues today through innovation, through all kinds of different things that we always do. And Carroll was always about the next one. But all that has to do with performance. And so everything that we do, and when Vince was just talking about design, you know, he's just a visionary with those kinds of things, right? So, but in addition to that, it can't just be a look good. It has to function. It has to be a part of the performance of the vehicle. And that's what we design into every one of these things that we do. And so at the back of the day, you know, performance is truly our business. It was in the 60s. It was, you know, every generation since, Aaron, it's still our business. How we define performance continues to evolve. It's not just 0 to 60. It's not just quarter mile. It may not just be road course times. We may look at performance differently. We've got off-road vehicles now. Yeah. So performance can be, you know, how does it perform in the sand? How does it perform on rocks? Or
how does it land?
How does it, yeah. This has been really good on how it lands.
Oh my God.
So we've had, but you know, it's been a lot of fun too. So yeah, performance is our business, but how you define it, you know, and so forth, I think that continues to be what we do today.
I think that's such an important thing too, is the fun factor, because like when I've seen you guys out, you guys aren't just, you know, like bureaucrats. You guys are having fun at the track. You guys are having fun building the cars, and you can't ask for a more important thing from a guy just breaking into an enthusiast that's been around a zillion years. It's very encouraging to see you guys just out there ripping it up, still having fun. And that's really what it's all about. And that's why I think the Shelby name and legacy still just strives on and continues to push.
Yeah. No, let me say something just real quick. I say the reason that we can do what we do is because we're both enthusiasts. We're out on the track, and we want to win every time we're on the track. So It's our goal every time, you know what I mean, to make a car that's better and better. You know, we don't want to bring a car out there that's going to come in second place. You know what I mean? So we're pushing the whole time to do this. So it's very important that both of us are out on the track running these cars as hard as they can actually run. You know, how are we going to sell a product that we can't stand behind, that we know that we could jump in a car, get out there on a track and smoke whoever's out there? You know, that's our philosophy basically for performance.
Absolutely. That's the best philosophy to have. So speaking of getting out there, I was trying to think of an interesting question for both of you. So I want both of you to answer this. And I kind of want to hear the different perspectives. You're stuck on a desert island. It's a paved desert island. You have one Shelby you can pick of any Shelby in the entire history. What car do each of you pick?
How big's the island?
It's a giant. You can't get off it, but it's a big island.
How much fuel we got? How much fuel did you drop off with us?
Well, that's I didn't even think about that. That's a good question. There's a gas station that hasn't updated its prices since 1969. So that like it's full of gas. So you got as much fuel as you need.
We're definitely in 1,000.
Yeah, you know, I think at the end of the day, you know, big power rules, and it's kind of fun, but it's hard to pick one because each of the vehicles have like a different personality for me. To pick one is very difficult. You know, for ease of use and all that, the modern stuff that we're doing right now, it's a new GT500 KR. That car is, you know, extremely quick and competent on the track. It does, you know, you could virtually be pretty fast and not even be really that, you know, that sharp. A 427 Cobra, that'll kill you today, like right now. But part of that appeal to me is it's how it feels, how it sounds, you know, all these different things, sensory kinds of things. But it's also the challenge of getting it to run at that level. You really do have to be on top of your game to avoid getting killed.
Yeah, we call the Cobra as the driver's car, basically. it's an experienced driver's car. You take that thing out there, and the whole time you're in that car, you are 100% focused on what you're doing out there on the track. Now, we tend to drive them a little over what they can do, you know what I mean? So we're very much, we're very, how do you say it? You're so concentrated on what you're doing. It's a car that'll actually wear you out through the day because it takes so much. Now we get into our new cars. You get out there, we got the radio on, the air conditioner on. We're talking to the guy next to him. We're heading into the corner at 130 miles an hour, talking about what's going on at the shop. So there's a whole different world nowadays to what we used to do.
Yeah, and that's the evolution. That's how it goes. I've always pictured Shelby's as being the cars that are for the drivers, like you guys said, and for the enthusiasts. And someone who buys a BMW 7 Series to me isn't going to be the ideal customer for the KR. They're not going to understand it. They're not going to get it. And I think, speaking of the GT500 KR, is there anything you guys want to say about that to all the folks watching on Mustangs on a Mission? Because obviously this is a pretty groundbreaking thing that's happening right now with it. The last time it was released was 2009, I believe. So what do you guys want to say about the new GT500 KR?
Well, for me,
yeah, go ahead.
And Vince can certainly chime in as well. The original KR, and my wife and I have a 68.
Mm-hmm.
So we know what that car was. And it was basically a one-trick pony. I mean, it looked really cool, but, in its day, it was pretty quick in a straight line. Didn't really turn that good, didn't stop that good, and so forth. As that car evolved over time, the cars that we built in 08 and 09, clearly they were quick in a straight line, but they were also much more competent on a road course, and you could actually go out and get around a road course pretty well. The latest one is all of that, and then at absolutely the next level. So where, for me anyway, when I would get that car and you really get on a long straight and you could really stretch its legs, even the 08s and 9s would get pretty light in the nose, and you could start to feel it wander, say, 150 or so. And the new one is very well planted. So you have a total sense of, control and a solid feeling. And so when we look at how the KR has evolved over time, the 08s and 9s were remarkable compared to the 68. The KR today is remarkable compared to the 08 and the 09. So, we continue to evolve. The cars are continuing to evolve. Carroll's favor was always the next one. Well, you look at that. So maybe Vince can pitch in.
Oh, no, it's just we try to do, like I say, over and above on everything. So it's make history then repeat it. So that's what we've done. We know that the king of the road was that was the thing to have. Now we brought out the KR, and through the years, and we've always made it better and better. I mean, this year here we've gone over the top. With the suspension, the supercharger, as far as the design of the front end, the hood, all that stuff like that. You put everything together, and it's actually very, very well balanced, high horsepower. You can drive it on the street, take it to the track, and it's a dominator. So these are, like I say, we're trying to repeat history, and we bring out a model like this, like the KR. We want to let people know that this is over and above what we normally do. So we want to give you something that's over the top, and sales has pretty much shown what happens here.
Yeah, we've got basically 60 per model year is what we said we do for the United States, and they're all spoken for.
Oh, wow.
So it's, it's just, as soon as we announce it, it's like people call, the phone rings off the hook. Oh, we got to have that. And, it's neat to see that and add to their collection. So the King of the Road is actually a very exclusive car. But, we're also working on what's next, and we learn a little bit each time. But it's been fun to watch the evolution. I get out in the 68 and, it's a stretch to make 150, and it's got to be geared right and all those. The 08 was it could get to 150 easily, but it was still a little uncomfortable. 150 in the new car, I got a couple gears left.
Yeah.
So it's just that kind of a,
That's
feeling.
awesome. Speaking of sales and things like that, I know growing up, for example, I was a big comic book fan and I loved comic books. And then I noticed as movies became big, people started all of a sudden liking comic books too. And I won't say I was offended by that, but noticed this growth in the market. With a movie like Ford versus Ferrari coming out, have you guys noticed a sales increase in merchandising in Shelby cars from someone who would not be the normal automotive enthusiast customer, but just a casual movie watcher?
Yeah, we've certainly seen that. When the movie came out, we almost instantly saw increased traffic in our store, both online and, brick and mortar. People were very interested. And really what it did was it introduced the brand to a whole new generation of people. And I think that, a lot of the people that may have been in their, let's just say 30s and 40s, they heard of Shelby, they've seen some new Shelbys on the road, but they didn't really realize the rich history and the depth of the history that we've had from the very beginning. And although the movie really only talked about a year and a half window of time, certainly before that and much, much after that, we've gone, much above and beyond. And the nice thing is people were interested enough after seeing the movie that they want to know more. And I think that that's really, really helped us in our brand and so forth. And it's one of the few brands that you look at in automotive that's world recognized, so it's pretty cool.
Another thing that it brought to us is it brought the younger generation. It was a movie that the whole family could go and see. So the whole family did go and see it. So now we're getting a lot of the younger kids are coming in here and they're totally excited when they come in and they know all about the brand now. A few years ago, the kids would come in here and they're looking at a car with dad. Now they're coming in, the kids are explaining to dad what the car is. So that's very important to us.
Yeah, I got a couple buddies, of course, that are GM guys and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, there's no Chevy versus Ferrari, so only argument I need now.
Ooh, I like you. That's good, Aaron.
Yeah, it's just you drop the mic. There ain't no Chevy versus Ferrari, brother. But I love the movie. The movie was fantastic. I was actually reading up, on you, Vince, and of course, like I said, I know Gary. I've reading up on both of you, but Vince, I think on one of your biographies that actually compared you to Phil Remington and Ken Miles a little bit, and your guys, both of your dynamic is very similar to that. How much of an honor is that for you guys to live in that, and do those feel like big shoes to fill when you get those comparisons?
Very big shoes. It's funny. Through my career, I've always been a car builder most of my life. My family was racers, and I started racing back in the 80s, NASCAR stuff. And what I didn't know is through the years, I was actually molding myself for this position. So learning how to build cars from the ground up, building race cars and manufacturing them and those kind of things. And when I finally had an opportunity to come work for Shelby, it was like, it was funny because I didn't realize it was Carroll Shelby's place. I just thought it was shopping at Shelby. Until I started reading about it, I'm going like, oh man, I put all my stuff on there, and I started working here. And it's just, I've been here for over 20 years. It's been an honor every single day that I walk in this door.
Oh man, that's
it's really cool. And it's,
go on. Yeah.
I feel the same way. I mean, I don't have the talent he does for creating those things. Usually, I give a few ideas and just get out of the way. And that's fine. But
we both have our roles.
And it's good. But we're both, pretty slick behind the wheel, and we're in a lot of ways. It's like a lot of you guys. We're enthusiasts ourselves. So it's car people running a car company, and that's pretty badass. We're not looking at our degree on the wall or, some kind of it's not just a job for us. It's something we live every day.
The hardest part basically is trying to build a hot rod that you can run on the street and be 50 state legal. That's the only hard part of this whole company. I mean, we can build some really cool stuff. Can we sell it? That's our only.
That's the real trick, and that's the hardest part is building something badass is easy. Building something that's badass and safe and is sellable, and Uncle Sam and all those people are going to look at it, and all the Californians are going to look at it and say, yeah, I guess they can do this. That's the hardest part, and people don't realize those challenges, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not like you can just throw a big motor in a crate and move it. You guys have so much more than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We go to shows and stuff like that. We'll be at a show and we're at this 800 horsepower. Well, I can get 950 out of these. Well, yeah, you can. That's fine. But can you make it 50 state legal? Can you make it to where you have a warranty on it? Can you make it to where mom can drive the thing to the store? You know what I mean? Or dad can take it to the track and race it, or vice versa. You know what I mean? We got a lot of women out there that race these cars. So that's the biggest challenge that we have. I mean, we have, things that we really want to do that we got to kind of hold back on, but we give you the biggest bang for the buck is what, that's what we're all about.
Of course. Any kind of
it's
fun?
really interesting too.
Oh no, go ahead. Go on, Gary. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. No. I was about to go into another.
No, you were talking about. No, Vince is talking about bang for the buck, and I think that's important. And people look at some of our stuff and they say, well, it's pretty expensive. Well, our car was twice the money of a Mustang in '65, and it's twice the money of a Mustang or more today. But if you look at resale, look at those cars that just went across the auction last weekend at Barrett Jackson. The '68 GT500 KR that sold brand new for $5,000 or $6,000 in the '60s just got $300,000 today. So that's pretty cool, and it's a great investment. And you say, okay, well, that was history. That was 50 years ago. What are you doing for me today? Well, we had a 2020 Bold Edition that just went through Mecum a week ago, and that car sold 2 years ago for $140. It sold at Mecum for $300.
Oh wow! I mean,
not a bad initial investment, right? Because how many cars can you have for 2 years and instantly, make that kind of money? Now, there's no guarantee. Auctions are a little goofy, but, it just goes to show you there's value in new cars. There's value in old cars. The best of the times are really today. We got the old, we got the new, and there's a place for everybody.
And what we try to do also is we're doing small niche builds. That's like the KR. We're only building so many for each year. That way the value stays there. I mean, if we built, 3,000 of something, it's not going to be as valuable as 60. So when we do these supercars, do a car that's, over and above, we want to make it to where it's a value for the customer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I see I won't say we're closing up on time because I could freaking talk to you guys all day. This stuff is so great and so informative. Yeah. Do you guys got any funny Shelby stories, like with the family, with Carroll? Any kind of funny stories pop into your head that maybe the world needs to know or doesn't need to know?
You should do that.
Yeah.
So here's some fun stuff. What people didn't know is Carroll, towards the end of his life, he couldn't see very well. Like, he couldn't see. So, anyway, when I started in with him, these guys here would go, hey, Carroll wants to go for a drive and he wants you to go with him. Well, what I didn't know is when we got on the track, Carroll would go, hey, I can't see a damn thing. He says, so do me a favor. He says, tell me when I get to the corner so I can turn in. So you go with him and you go, okay, Carroll, we got about 60, 40, 30. Go ahead and turn right. Go ahead, downshift. Go ahead, wide open throttle. This kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So he's driving this car blind, and we got to tell him which way to go. What I didn't know is these guys have been doing it for years. You know what I mean? I'm the new guy. They throw me into the car, and I'm just going, I'm going to die if I don't get this right, Oh. But it was cool. The one thing cool about Carroll is he never backed down from anything. Even though he couldn't see, he couldn't, something he couldn't do. Someone would ask him to do it. He'd jump in the car and do it. He was never a man to back down. Another neat thing about him was he was a very honest, pure kind of guy, to where if you were good with him, he was good with you. He'd always remember names. I don't know how he did it. We'd go to events and stuff, and he'd see somebody that he hadn't seen in 3 years. He'd say, hey, Bill, how you been? I meet somebody, I can't remember their name the next minute, you know, and this guy here, he was just a genuine good guy. And I feel we got lucky. We got the good Carroll. We talked to the team guys, you know what I mean, from the early days when he was racing and stuff. And they go like, you have no idea what it was like working for Carroll at that time. So we've been pretty blessed. We're, like I say, I'm blessed every day. I haven't worked for 20 years. You know, I come in, I have fun. We build some cool stuff, and we're just having a great time here.
Yeah, for a guy that puts in time here, probably 60 to 100 hours a week, you haven't worked.
Yeah, I haven't worked, exactly.
I resemble that. So, but yeah, it's really fun. And, you know, Carroll was just, in a lot of ways, he was a regular guy too. You know, I mean, you could talk to him about a variety of different things, and it wasn't just about cars. He'd call you up on the weekend. And, you know, one of my real quickie funnies was I hadn't worked for him for very long, and he calls me. It's a Sunday afternoon. He goes, you know, the phone rings. Hey, it's Shelby, you know, and say, yeah, Carroll, you know. He says, what do you know about cows? I'm like, huh? You know, cows? I don't know shit about cows. What good are you then? End the conversation.
Yeah.
So, but you know, he was dabbling in all kinds of stuff, and you know, it was a never say never, never give up, never say die. You know, when a guy he's inspiring to me because when they give you a death sentence in 1960 and basically say, look, you know, you got the same heart condition your dad did, and you probably have 5 years to live if that. You know, and he goes on to live 52 more years, and he kept going like it was no tomorrow, and he never quit. And, you know, I mean, holy cow. I mean, who does that? A lot of the people, you know, they roll over, they get the least little thing. He never quit, you know, so that was pretty cool. That was kind of inspiring for me. And, you know, he could go, you know, we could go somewhere and he'd be talking about, you know, the dollar store or when he was going to get here or that. And you never knew what was coming out of his mouth. So, and some of it was true.
You know, the neat thing about it is he'd call you in the morning, ask you how you're doing, and call you and tell you he loved you at night and thank you for what you did. That was the kind of guy he was.
That's amazing. Well, guys, I can't thank you enough. You guys are both freaking rock stars. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you down the road. This was really, really fun. We need to do it again.
Let's do it again, Aaron. Yeah, that'd be great.
Good.
All right. Great.
We're looking for the next show.
Yeah.
The next show.
The next show and the show after that, and we'll get ice cream with Jason and Lonnie, and we'll play some pranks on them.
There you go.
That would be great.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
You bet. Take care, Aaron.
You got it.